Welcome to MetLife Stadium for a primetime AFC East matchup. The Jets and the Patriots both enter Week 3 at 1-1. Here we are outside of MetLife Stadium, the tailgate zone presented by USVI. That's Quinnen Williams set to take center stage on Thursday Night Football. You're watching Pregame Central presented by USVI. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen, Quincy Enunwa, and batting leadoff in the guest chair.
Oh, yeah.
Former New York Jets quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Look at the roar of the crowd.
Right. I think it's for the shirt.
I think it's a nice shirt. It's nice material, too.
Yeah, Quincy doesn't know this version of me. I really don't. A little more stylish.
Yeah.
You
have a stylist now. You have to.
I do.
What is the version of Ryan Fitzpatrick that you know, Quincy?
He didn't care as much, but he did. I will tell one story. He had a car, a minivan, and he got it styled out pretty nice. He got it pimped out by my guy. No shout-outs on the show, but yeah.
Way to catch yourself right there.
Yeah.
Who was your third favorite Jets receiver in 2015?
This was a big debate pregame, by the way, or pre-show.
Yeah, because we're obviously saying Brandon and Eric are 1 or 2.
We're not saying anything. That's what you just said.
I say Quincy was 1C.
Oh, there we go. I like that one.
That's spoken like a true quarterback in the National Football League. Okay, so Jets-Patriots, couple hours away, 8:15 kickoff. We expecting the Jets to get the dub tonight? I think that's the question that we're really searching here.
Well, I just walked around the tailgates for a little bit. There's a lot of excitement out there, obviously.
Of course.
I'm nervous.
Ooh.
I'm nervous about this one, man. I mean, the Patriots, they've been weird this year. They obviously beat Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Last week, they played a little tougher than, I thought they were going to play. So 2 games in a row. It's just been that. It's that same style of defense, right? Gerard Mayo's just taken over the former Bill Belichick, but I can't tell you who I'm going to pick because it's going to be on our show.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you have to wait.
That was good.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because when I was watching the film, it felt like I was watching a Belichick coach team, right? They did a lot of disguises, some man, some cover 2 there, but it really looked like a Belichick team up here.
Yeah, and they're running – it's the same stuff from when we played.
Yeah.
And even, one of the things for us, okay, let's get him an empty. We know they're going to do 1, 2, or 3 things. For Aaron to get him an empty, they did it a lot last week, you saw, versus Tennessee, and to figure out and decipher and signal to the receivers. I think we're going to see a lot of that tonight, which will play into the Jets' favor. And I know Aaron obviously is pretty excited to get out here and put on a show for the fans.
Yeah, fair enough. The Jets ended a streak in New England last January. I think it's time to start a new streak here at home against the Patriots.
Yeah, I read it was in 10 years, they're 2-18. Is that right? 2-18 in the last 20 games, which is really hard to believe. But obviously, it's a new era of Jets football with Aaron Rodgers. It's a new era with Belichick being gone. Tom Brady, finally, he's been gone for a while, but I think we can start to dominate them a little bit.
So what have you seen from Rodgers so far? Small sample size, 2 games.
Yeah, I think he's getting back into it, right? I think it's not surprising that right away he wasn't hitting on all cylinders, and there's still some chemistry stuff going on. We haven't seen him get outside the pocket and make one of those patented, outside the pocket throws down the field that he does. But we've seen obviously the experience, getting him to jump off sides, touchdown to Lazard. Yep. And really the thing that's made this offense go, because it has been a little bit of a struggle in the run game. It has been in the passing game a little bit of a struggle. He doesn't miss on those deep throws.
Yeah.
We've seen 2 to Lazard. We saw the one to Breece Hall in the end zone. We've seen a couple to Garrett Wilson. So that's what's kept this offense afloat the first 2 games.
Look, this is the Jets' 14th home opener against the Patriots. That's the most for the Jets against any franchise in the AFL or the NFL. And this is also the Jets' 3rd game in 11 days. Okay? Like that's a bear. The Jets are the 3rd team since 2012 to open on Monday Night Football and play their Week 3 game on Thursday Night Football. You mentioned the Patriots last week. They almost played an extra quarter of football. How challenging do you think it is for both these teams just physically? And that's one of the guys, C.J. Mosley, is he going to play? Is he not? He's listed as questionable. That's going to be a big piece for the Jets as well.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. And even just the beginning of the year, guys aren't playing in the preseason anymore, right? So some of the soreness that maybe you would get out of the way early, it's probably still there and still lingering, getting back into the football shape. But I was talking to Vito Contento, our guy in the equipment room, and it's one of those things like Yeah, you're at a disadvantage. It stinks, but it also means you're playing these nationally televised night games. It also means Aaron Rodgers is on your team, so that's the price you got to pay for it. But I think he was happy with the trade-off of having Aaron here and having to play 3 games in 11 days.
Did you take any snaps from Vito for old time's sake?
So I was going to. He didn't have his compression shorts on. So I wanted to get up under there and take a snap, but he wasn't feeling it.
So I wanted to ask both of you guys about what's happened in the National Football League through 2 weeks, because the passing numbers are way down. Why is that happening? I think right now you got 15 teams averaging less than 200 yards per game through there.
Yeah, it's been absurd. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. There's obviously, there's been more of an emphasis on running it. Everybody's talking about 2 high safeties. Right. There's plenty of ways in the passing game you can attack 2 high safeties. So I do think it is a lot of younger quarterbacks playing, a lot of guys just feeling out what the season's going to be like, trying to avoid the big mistakes and the interceptions. Hopefully these pass numbers pick up as we go, and I think they will, because once you start putting stuff on film, you find those ways to attack.
Yeah, and let's be honest, right? The passing numbers have been kind of ridiculous the past few years, so I think it's kind of that leveling off where people are trying to figure out what's going on and how can we kind of solve some of these numbers, and then eventually the offense is going to figure it out again.
And New England's rushing attack, number 4 in the NFL, led by Ramondre Stevenson. EA was just talking about the passing numbers coming down. Do you think that almost feeds into what Gerard Mayo wants to try to build in New England? Or this is just the way this Patriots team is built?
Well, I think when he brought in Alex Van Pelt as the coordinator, they were going to put an emphasis on running the ball. They were going to put an emphasis on kind of that old school, tough, physical mentality. And that's what you've seen, some of it by choice and personnel and who they have, and some of it just because they can control the game in that way. They've got a great guy in Jacoby Brissett that can manage the game, and even just the leadership aspects and qualities of Jacoby. He's a guy that's going to win over that locker room right away, which he already has. I would just like to see Jacoby put a few more down the field. We don't want him to complete them, right? No. But I think there's only been 2 deep balls thrown this year so far.
Baby steps for the Jets offense these first 2 games, but they have scored 3 touchdowns in each of those 2 contests. And what's got me really excited is the potential to have very good balance. You got Breece Hall out there in the backfield. How about Braylon Allen and his arrival in the National Football League?
Are you guys related or no?
Yes.
You are. Okay.
Distant cousins.
Well, I'll say this, too, though. I would like to see somebody else emerge. We've seen Lazard a little bit. Aaron's comfortable with him. But especially at receiver, who's that third guy? Yeah. We saw Mike Williams get the back shoulder. That was a big catch for him. But Aaron has to trust his guys, right? And so he's got to find that third guy that he needs to get involved in the offense. Because I'll tell you, back in 2015, I had a third guy that I really trusted.
Oh, yeah. And he's blushing up here right now.
But it is important to get more guys involved. They've got a unique, awesome talent in Breece Hall, right? They've got a unique, awesome talent in Garrett Wilson. They just have to continue to find some of those pieces and for him to get a little more comfortable with those guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing I've really enjoyed watching this past game was the creativity, right? We saw the Wildcat plays. We saw them bring in Braylon Allen and Breece Hall, all at the same time. I'm nervous with my former quarterback here, guys. I feel like a young guy again, right? Like when it was 2015, Fitzpatrick was this older guy, had so many older guys in the locker room. I was like, man, I got to find my space. Now Fitz is back here, and I'm like, But listen, man, it's always fun having you here, and I really enjoy your presence here. It's always been good. You've been a good mentor to me. So even now, as you're doing TV, it's cool to watch you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to see some highlights. Do we have any highlights of?
It's pregame.
Yeah, jumping the gun here.
Yeah, you're jumping the gun.
rules?
Come on now.
Look, we have some trivia. I don't want to give too much away. We have some trivia for you in a little bit about the 2015 game. You're watching Pregame Central, presented by USVI. We're out in the tailgate zone, but let's actually go inside the stadium to check in with Caroline Hendershot.
Tonight will be the first time Aaron Rodgers plays at MetLife since his injury to his Achilles last September. And he was talking to reporters about it this week, and he said, it's been a long time since I've taken the field at MetLife, so there's going to be a lot of emotions for sure. But I'm excited. He also added that this offense he wants to see from them tonight, he wants them to start faster. He wants them to put something together in the first 15, and he wants to give the defense a chance to start with a lead because they haven't done that the last 2 weeks. Now, he also added that he just wants to see more offensive plays. The first week, they had a total of 39. The second week, they increased that to a total of 56. But he wants that number in between the mid-60s, close, maybe touching 70, because obviously the more plays you have, the more opportunities, the more yards, and eventually that leads to more points.
Hi, Tom Brady for the most starts on Thursday with 17. good news for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers has a 105.7 rating. He's thrown for 37 touchdowns on Thursday. And last week, to Caroline's point, completed 60% of his passes, 1 or 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And really, if you're a Jets fan and you're familiar with this rivalry, you know not turning the football over is going to be key for the Jets tonight.
Yeah, and what do we know what Salah's record is on Thursday night?
We do. So I'm glad you mentioned it. Robert Saleh earlier this week said that the Jets are still trying to find the best way to navigate Thursday night because he's still searching for his first win on Thursday Night Football. I will say, however, in 2021, the Jets were on their third-string quarterback. That was Josh Johnson coming in for Mike White, who hurt his elbow. Last year, it was Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
In 2022, it was Zach Wilson. And so there's your answer.
Okay.
We're still looking.
Something's got to give, though.
Yeah,
right?
no doubt.
It's
the
time.
Aaron Rodgers or
There's a couple
Saleh.
streaks.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So are you in the mood for some trivia?
I would love some trivia.
Okay, Jets-Patriots 2015, the last time the New York Jets won at this stadium against their division rivals. So you threw, Ryan,
Yeah.
a 33-yard touchdown to Brandon Marshall in the third quarter. The Jets went up 17-3, but that drive started because of an interception. Who picked off Tom Brady?
Just let me preface this by saying I played a lot of football after that. I'm going to say Rontez Miles.
Hold on.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Hold on.
That's a deep cut, right?
Hold on.
Yeah, it is.
Hold on. 50 went to Harvard. Okay.
Okay.
And there's a Hall of Fame cornerback that you played with.
Yeah. So it was Revis?
It was.
Of course it was Revis.
It was Darrelle Revis intended for Rob Gronkowski. Okay, so the Patriots' first touchdown of that game was a defensive score. Do you remember who scored? It was off of a strip sack.
Strip sack.
Scooped up by blank player, short little run into the end zone.
Right.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one, but I figured a couple hard questions, couple softball.
Yeah, well, number 91.
Yeah, that's right. Jamie Collins. Well done.
Jamie Collins.
There we go.
There it is. Okay.
Oh.
So near the end of regulation, the Patriots needed a touchdown to win. They faced 4th and 9. They moved the chains. Who did Brady complete the ball to before James White tied the game?
Damn.
It's got to be Edelman, right?
It's Gronk.
Gronk.
It was one or the other.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
There's some hard-hitting trivia here.
I
The thing is, I bet you all these fans would probably get it right.
They probably would.
Yeah.
Okay, this one I think you have a good chance with. At the end of regulation, the Jets had the ball. Which wide receiver nearly came down with a catch that would have put the Jets in field goal range, perhaps scored a touchdown? Hint, it's the same guy who had a 48-yard catch and run in overtime to help set up the game-winning touchdown.
Oh, it was down the middle, huh?
Yeah.
I remember that
So I was
one.
telling
Quincy,
him,
yeah.
I'm glad you said that. So I was telling him it was like an in with a clear out, and I wasn't even expecting the ball. I don't even remember what happened. You just threw
Hey,
it.
when you play with me,
I know.
you got to expect it. Can I tell you guys one thing that happened in the tailgate?
Of course.
Absolutely.
So I was playing cornhole bags, whatever we want to call it, and my second throw, the bag missed short of the cornhole. And the fans were great to me. Somebody said, "Oh, just like Buffalo in 2015."
Oh, no, that ain't right.
Jeez.
That's not right.
Well, he gave me a hug afterwards, so I feel like that made up for it.
Yeah.
Statute of limitations run out on that, or you think that's a little too deep of a cut?
Oh,
there?
it's a deep cut.
Yeah.
that
Until
one.
we get
hurt.
back to the
Will it
playoffs,
ever
probably.
not be a deep cut though?
No, that'll always be a deep cut.
Are these Jets in 2024 poised to win double-digit games and make the postseason?
What's been interesting so far, it almost feels like the defense has taken a little bit of a step back.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just getting back into the season. I think, they're more thin on the defensive line this year. But it's going to be contingent on Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, right? And so that just watching the Tennessee game, like winning that game felt good. Those are the games I think in the last few years they've let slip away, and they haven't been able to make the plays or the drives to win the game. So, 9-8, 10-7, even 11-6. Yeah. Let's see how Aaron continues to go and move around as he feels more comfortable.
I know.
Well, that's all the time that
I know he's got to go. But
I'm getting cut off here.
Oh, my God.
That's all the time that Fitzy has. But let's get a round of applause for Ryan Fitzpatrick joining us here on Pregame Central. And let's actually check back with Caroline in MetLife Stadium.
All right, thanks, Ethan. I'm here with Andrea O'Neill, the Vice President of Develop with the Lupus Research Alliance. Now, Andrea, for those who don't know, what is the Lupus Research Alliance and how was it founded?
Sure, thanks. Caroline, thanks for having us. Thank you to the Jets for having us here today on Lupus Awareness Day. The Lupus Research Alliance is the largest private funder of lupus research worldwide. And Ambassador Johnson and the Johnson family were a big part of where we are today and its founding and founding chair. And we basically have invested over $260 million with more than 560 grants, research grants to date. I can say that much of our foundational work has led to 2 recently approved treatments for lupus, and we haven't had that in 70 years.
Wow.
So it's a lot, but we need more because lupus is a very complex autoimmune disease, and that means where the immune system doesn't protect you from infection, but it actually attacks the body, and it's very random and serious, and there is no cure at this time, and it's very personalized. So we need more treatments that are going to target and be right for each person the best way to help make them live a better life.
Yes, most definitely. What you guys have done already has been incredible. Now, you mentioned it. Today is Lupus Awareness Day. The Jets or the Lupus Research Alliance is celebrating it with the Jets. Now, what are you guys doing today for the raising awareness, and what's the end goal?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you to the Jets for doing this. It's probably over 15 years that we've partnered for an annual Lupus Awareness Day. And really, awareness is the goal, and bringing over 80,000 people and television and so forth and the jumbotrons to really make people aware of this serious disease. And it's 90% women, and it's young women, and predominantly or disproportionately women of color. So it's really important to understand the disease, and if you do have symptoms, which can be very common and mimic other diseases like fatigue, joint pain, rashes, fevers, please talk to your doctor. And so that's what we want today. Make sure people, if they think there's anything going on or want to learn more, it's lupusresearch.org. That is our website. And today we're also doing a 50-50 raffle, which is great for attendees who want to buy a raffle ticket, but that money all will go, that 50% goes to lupus research. And that's really what we're all about, is finding better treatments and ultimately a cure.
That's amazing. What you guys are doing is incredible work. I'm sure that everyone who knows someone that has lupus or a loved one that has lupus is really thankful for what you guys do. Again, Andrea said, if you want to learn more, it's lupusresearch.org.
Exactly.
Great. All right. You guys can check it out there. But that's all we have with Andrea. Ethan, back to you.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Andrea. If you see, everyone's wearing their lupus pins. And look, we're introducing Jets Uncorked, a premium Cabernet wine and the ultimate collector's item for every fan. Elevate your tailgate with the perfect addition at nyjets.com/wine. Bleed green, drink red. Someone who bleeds green and bleeds crimson. Now on stage, Marty Lyons joining us here on Pregame Central, presented by USVI. Nice to see you, Marty.
Oh, it's great to be here.
First of all, we didn't really get into this with Fitz, but what do you think about what's your anticipation with the crowd tonight?
Oh, I think the crowd's going to be electric. After going one-on-one on the road, and it's the first home game, they're expecting to see Aaron make it more than 4 plays. The team is coming together because now with the preseason games, nobody plays, none of the starters. This is really the 3rd time that these guys are getting to play together, and you can see that they're coming together as a unit.
You're celebrating 45 years with the organization,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
Congratulations.
We're never going to see anything like that again, I don't think. Marty, with that being said, when you drive up to the stadium to see the fans and tailgating, and it's the home opener for the New York Jets, what goes through your mind?
Well, it goes through my mind is I'm very thankful that I've been able to be here 45 years, build a relationship with the fans. The fans have been totally supportive since day one when I came in 1979. And I have a foundation for terminally ill children that they've also been supportive of. So I think if you're a player and you want to make a living or you want to live up here in the New York area, you got to take time to get to know the fans. The Jet fans are fantastic.
Yeah.
They're there when you win, and they're going to let you know when you're not playing good football, and that's all you can ever ask.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Marty, I want to go kind of into more football here. First off, I want to congratulate you on your 45 years and your ambassador role. But as far as football, we looked at that San Francisco game, and there was a lot of guys moving out of their gaps, different things like that. This week, they're playing another team that really runs the ball well. What do you think they can kind of switch up to make sure that that doesn't happen again this week?
Well, you know what, Quincy, when I was watching both of the games, it seemed like both the 49ers and also the Tennessee Titans, they attacked the outside.
Yeah.
So what they were doing is they were making sure that they hooked the defensive end, and then they were blocking down with the guy coming in motion, blocking the linebackers, and they create that soft corner. Yeah. And that's where they were picking up all the yardage. Now, if I'm the defensive guys, if I'm in a 9 position and I'm getting hooked, I get it in a wider 9 so you get upfield. Even if the tackle pushes you out and that forces them to take that running play inside you, that's where all your teammates are. That's what you want to do if you're the outside in containment. You've got to hold it. And when you look at New England, they don't have much of a passing game in the first 2 games. But last week against Seattle, they lost in overtime, 23-20, but they ran for 185 yards. They're going to try to run the ball tonight and shorten the game. If they can shorten the game, they have a chance.
And Ramondre Stevenson, the lead back for the Patriots, top 5 in the NFL in attempts, top 5 in yards. And Antonio Gibson, it's funny because he's the change of pace back. He's top 5 in yards per carry, even though Stevenson is not. And this is the first game for the Jets without Jermaine Johnson in totality. Obviously, he got hurt. He ruptured his Achilles last week in Tennessee. What do you expect? He was a big force in terms of run defense. What do you expect, and how do you think that the Jets performed in that aspect last week without him?
Well, I think it's the next man up mentality. You know, now these players are having an opportunity to get out there and play. You're part of this organization. You're part of the 53-man roster. You're waiting for that opportunity. Now you have to make the most of it. I feel sorry for Jermaine Johnson. Last year he came in with a little chip on his shoulder. He changed his number back to his college number, had an outstanding year, went to the Pro Bowl, and injuries are part of the game. And unfortunately for Jermaine, he gets hurt, and now it's the next man up. But I think you got to play attack football tonight. You got to get after New England and let them know, hey, you know what? We're not taking it anymore. In the last 10 years, they're 16-2 against the Jets. Not anymore. You got to send that message loud and clear. Yeah. In the first quarter.
Yeah, so I'm actually really curious now about that wide 9, right? When you talk about the run game, how does that then affect the player when he's like, okay, I want to get to the quarterback? I feel like that then becomes okay, don't be a superhero, right? Because you have to still play your gaps, but you don't want to be too wide because you want to get to the quarterback as fast as possible, right?
Right, but when you're playing that wide 9, it's a different mentality if it's a run play versus a pass play. If it's a run play, you're holding containment. Right. If it's a pass play, Quincy, you have the opportunity to take the tackle up and then come underneath. Will McDonald came in last year, and he had one of the most unbelievable spin moves.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's all he had. So eventually, here in the NFL, players are going to catch up with you. The offensive guard on your side is going to understand that this guy has a great spin move. He's going to take the tackle up, and when he spins back, guess what? There's the guard.
Right.
But the way he played last week in Tennessee tells you that he's listening. Yep. He's maturing into that player that everybody, Joe Douglas, drafted. And I think if you look at the locker room in itself, you have a lot of veterans that have that leadership, but you got a lot of young players, and their voices being heard. When I came in 1979, if you were a rookie, you sat in front of your locker, you didn't say much until somebody asked you to say something.
Aaron Rodgers now taking center stage for the green and white going through his warm-ups. We were talking about earlier with Ryan Fitzpatrick the importance in this game specifically about not turning the football over. Jacoby Brissett has not turned the football over. He and Aaron Rodgers, two of the best quarterbacks in NFL history at not turning the football over. So, Marty, tonight, you want to see, from a Jets fan's perspective, you're probably thinking, okay, stop the run and put the burden on the Jets secondary. DJ Reed was a full participant in walkthrough yesterday. Same thing with Michael Carter II. So is that Marty Lyons' game plan as well to sell out for the run? And do you think you have the secondary to stand up with K.J. Osborne and Hunter Henry? And
no, my game plan is looking right at that guy right there, Aaron Rodgers. Sitting at home last week, watching him throw the ball, he hasn't lost a bit. And the one thing I like is when they run that quick dig, and you can take the guy in the slot, and you got to pick up 5 yards. He throws the ball almost like a pitcher would throw a curveball or a splitter. It's coming, and then it goes down. And two things happen. Number one, you're protecting your receiver. Yeah. And number two, if the ball goes incomplete, it's going to hit the ground. You're not going to have an interception. And he's not exposing his wide receivers to come in the middle and get blasted by a linebacker or a safety.
Here's the difference in the 2024 New York Jets. If you are late in a game and it's tied like you were last week, you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, a guy who's done it as well as anybody in the history of this game. And the Jets last week specifically, Rodgers goes 5 of 5 on that game-winning drive. And those dimes to Garrett Wilson on a 3rd and 1, there aren't a lot of guys in the history of this game who can make that throw. And then he comes back up the sideline to Mike Williams, of course. I mean, and then you finish that drive with a rookie running back. So these are all signs of promise for the Jets.
Well, those two passes that you were talking about, the one to Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams, that's all timing.
Yeah.
And that's throwing it to a spot on the field and trusting your wide receiver to get there. Right. And it's a touch pass. He's thrown it up there, and Garrett had already gone inside, and the defender went inside, and Garrett came back outside. When he threw it to Mike Williams, the corner still had his back to the line of scrimmage, but you're throwing it to a spot. That is the trust that Aaron's building with every one of his teammates. And I think a good leader has to inspire, which Aaron is. And a good leader also has to have the ability to listen. And that's what he does also.
Yeah. Look, the Jets clearly want to run the football, at least early. They tried to do that last week with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Allen became the youngest player to score a touchdown since. And there's like conflicting reports. Is he the youngest ever? Is it 50 years? Is it 80 years? And that guy right there, Breece Hall, continues just to score touchdowns. 5 straight games for number 20. And when you take a look at the Patriots' rush defense, very good. Number 2 in the NFL. I will say, however, against Cincinnati, they saw Zach Moss. Last week, the Seahawks were not with Kenneth Walker. They saw Zach Charbonnet. Breece Hall is a different type of running back, different caliber of running back, don't you think?
Yeah,
Marty?
you got 2 different running backs in Hall and Allen. Hall is a finesse type of guy with unbelievable speed if he gets into the open space. Allen, he's not going to try to duke you at the line of scrimmage. He wants to run over you. Yeah. He wants to punish you. He's a strong runner with speed also. Yeah. So I think that 1-2 punch, I'd like to see the Jets come out and dominate the line of scrimmage. The offensive line is playing tremendous. I know it's only been 2 games, but you can see the chemistry is built there. If they can come out, run the ball, even throw the ball on first down, which we haven't seen a lot of. Throw the ball on first down and move the ball down the field, have those long, consistent drives, and eventually wear down New England to the point of they don't want to play anymore, and then just keep pouring it on. If you can win by 1, that's fantastic. But if you can win by 30, that's even better.
I like that.
Definitely.
Breece Hall, we're watching Rodgers warm up right now. Breece Hall is so good that we've come to expect such production from him that when he has 100 yards from scrimmage, it's a ho-hum game. And Ethan just mentioned before, 5 consecutive games now with a touchdown.
Yeah, but you know what? That's what he expects out of himself.
Yep.
So when he looks in the mirror and he has a good game and the team loses, he's not happy. And that was what, brought me to the attention of Garrett Wilson. After they lost to the 49ers, he came flat out and said, we got our butts beat. When defensively, they never got off the field. Offensively, they didn't have enough opportunities. But you got a young player taking responsibility for the whole team saying, hey, we win as a team, we lose as a team. Chemistry on this team starts in the locker room. They're doing an excellent job.
So how did the Jets start fast tonight? If we're talking about tough Patriots team. They like to be physical. What's the recipe for starting fast for a group that's playing its third game together?
Well, I think, number one, you look at field position. If you have great field position to start off, don't be afraid to throw that home run on first down. Yeah. And then you pound the ball. A good mixture of run, pass, have a balanced offense. Defensively, shut down the run. Force New England Patriots to throw the ball. And when they do, you got to get to the quarterback. Force them into making mistakes.
Yeah, and this New England Patriot offensive line is banged up.
Yep,
both their starters on the left side inactive tonight. The other guys, everybody, including center David Andrews, are dealing with injuries themselves.
And you know what, EA? Nobody cares.
Yep, that's
right. I don't care. They don't care if we lost Jermaine Johnson.
That's right.
So Aaron Rodgers last year.
Yeah, the game goes on, and you got to go out there and play physical and play today for the guys in the locker room. Play today for your coaching staff. More importantly, play today for your fans. Your fans are coming out. This is your first home game. Light it up.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see what happens. Marty Lyons, we appreciate your time here on Pregame Central, presented by USVI. Round of applause. Thank you. Look, MetLife is going to be rocking tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Just think about what it was like Monday Night Football last year. This is week 3, and it's interesting because this is the Jets' third game in 11 days, okay? If you want the full breakdown of what's happening in terms of analysis from this game, you got to tune in Sunday. All season long, you can tune in. It's just that this is more of a post-game review as opposed to a pregame review. Bart Scott, Brian Baldinger, the Jets team reporters, they will take you between the lines with insights and analysis leading into each game. You got to be on the lookout for appearances from Jets legends, special guests to break down the latest on the green and white. You can tune in Sunday mornings on CBS 2 New York. Okay, Jets Patriots, both teams 1-1 entering week 3. Aaron Rodgers set to take the stage here at MetLife Stadium again for the second time as a New York Jet. Both games coming in prime time. So we've had Ryan Fitzpatrick on the show. We've had Marty Lyons on the show. There's a lot of things that we've discussed, okay? The one thing we really haven't talked about yet feels like the Patriots passing attack.
Yeah.
Just briefly, Jacoby Brissett is a good quarterback. He's had success against this Jets team 2 years ago in Cleveland, last year in Washington. But the cast around him a little bit different in New England than it was in Washington and Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, going back to Jets game day, you know who's going to be on the show this week?
This guy right here.
Quincy Enunwa. Oh, yeah, we're taping tomorrow morning. But we're going to go right from the stadium. Listen, they're in the first year of their system, and you're talking about the receivers last week against the Seattle Seahawks. The Patriots receivers combined for 3 catches for less than 20 yards. I mean, they're averaging 122 yards per game through the air. We know what they want to do.
Exactly. And I mean, last year when he was with Cleveland, he had a much better supporting cast, right? This year, he's a lot of young guys, right? The biggest thing there is they have the youngest wide receiver core in the league. So you got guys that are still learning how to play the NFL football. They don't really know what to do. It's going to take some time for them to mature and figure out what to do for this guy. So I think for them, it's really about pounding the football, and that's why they continue to do it, because they know if they can get that run game going, then eventually that pass game will open up for them.
Look, Hunter Henry is the Patriots' leading receiver. He's a tight end. He has about 120 receiving yards on the year. 100 of them, more than 100 of them, came last week against the Seattle Seahawks. The Patriots' leading wideout as a wide receiver is KJ Osborne, who has 4 catches for 28 yards. Wouldn't you think, just on paper, this is a good matchup for the Jets?
Yeah, but we've seen the Patriots already this season muddy up these ball games. They went into Cincinnati against Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow completed more than 20 passes. He was like 21 to 29. But with that being said, he had 160 yards through the air. They've played very good defensive football, but what stood out to me last week was actually Geno Smith went off, and the Seahawks had 2 receivers going for more than 100 yards in Metcalf and
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, like Marty was saying, when we had the camera on Aaron Rodgers, is this the night where he really gets on track?
Yeah, I think that'll be a big big factor, but I think the biggest thing in that game was there were a lot of busts.
No.
You know, a lot of these guys were kind of messing up their assignment, not being in the right spot, and so that created some of those big plays, and Geno Smith took advantage of them. Now, this week, are they going to do those same things? That'll be the question mark, because if they do, Aaron Rodgers is absolutely going to take advantage of it. But if not, then it's going to be a tough game because they do a good job of disguising. They play a lot of man, so as the Jets receivers, you got to be prepared for that. You got to be prepared for guys coming off from the defensive line and covering you, and you're not expecting that. So it'll be an interesting game. These guys have to play with their Aaron Rodgers mind this week because you can't play like a young guy.
So we started the show with Ryan Fitzpatrick, your former quarterback. I wanted to get your thoughts on Aaron and the way he interacts with his teammates, specifically the Breece Hall touchdown last week. He said after a delay of game that he pointed to himself, we had to go to the sideline, call timeout because Aaron was taking a long time there getting the ball off. But he said, Breece said, hey, listen, if I had the backer on me, throw a go route to me.
Yeah.
Very next play, he's got the backer on him. He throws it, touchdown.
Yeah, no, it's a great I think if I was a young guy, I would appreciate that a lot because he's taking my words and putting them into action, right? Because I know anytime I'm out there that I'm confident enough to beat this guy in front of me. So if my quarterback also believes that and gives me a chance, which he does, right? He's giving Alan Lazard chances. He gives Mike Williams chances. He gives Garrett Wilson plenty of chances. So as a young guy, you know, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, there's so many opportunities for you to get the ball with a guy like him.
As great of a throw as it was to Mike Williams, the jump ball, it was a great catch to your point.
Yeah.
He trusts his receivers, and Mike Williams, that's why he was brought to the New York Jets to win 50-50 balls like that. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor's the first one to say it, 80-20 balls in his eyes. All right, it's time for our X Factors here on Pregame Central, presented by USVI. Let's head inside the stadium to check in with Caroline, who's going to kick us off.
All right, my X Factor for tonight, I'm giving you two people instead of one. I'm going Jamie and Sherwood and C.J. Mosley. Now, we don't know whether C.J. Mosley will play tonight for sure or not. He injured his toe last game, so he's been dealing with that throughout the week. And Jamie and Sherwood actually came in last week for him when that injury occurred. And he co-led the defense with 9 tackles, so he performed really well. Saleh said he has the utmost confidence in him running the defense and making those calls and making sure all the checks are in place. But the reason why this linebacker group is going to be so important tonight, the Patriots rush game. They have rushed for over 170 yards back-to-back, both weeks, between Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson. Those two have been a very dynamic force for the Patriots offense. So I think the key to limiting the Patriots offense is obviously stopping the run game.
From Caroline, and it's 6:37 right now. Inactives come out at 6:45. So C.J. Mosley is listed as questionable. We'll see whether it will be him or Jamie Sherwood in the starting lineup. Quincy, who's your X factor?
So I got to go with my guy 8. Aaron Rodgers. It has to be him. I think you saw him take over last week. You got to see a little bit of a glimpse of what he can do. He puts everybody out in empty. He reads the defense, and he picks them apart each time, right? The first week, we were like, oh, man, he's taking so much time on the clock, but then he was putting them in the right play. The next week, we saw that again with different formations. So this week, I'm excited to see what is he going to do out there against this defense. There's a lot of disguising. He has to make sure that he has everybody on the same page. But without Aaron Rodgers on this field, it'll be very difficult for the Jets to come out with a win.
Speaking of that Patriots defense, I'm going to go to cornerback Christian Gonzalez. For them to have any chance of victory, he's going to have to do a good job against Garrett Wilson because the Patriots, they really gave up a ton of yards last week. And like Quincy was talking about, coverage busts. If they have coverage busts against the New York Jets tonight, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to find your weaknesses, and the Jets are going to run away with this ball game.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez, very talented for the New England Patriots. So is Keon White, who's my X factor. Think about this. Keon White has 4 sacks in 2 games. He's lined up at every single defensive front position, whether that's end, inside, linebacker, both inside and outside. He's taken 115 total snaps this year. The most he's taken at one position is 32. That's only 27% of his total snaps. So the Jets have to know where he is at all times because he's a chess piece. Brian Baldinger nicknamed him the Piano Man, I think because he lines up all over the place. I'm not quite sure exactly what it means, but I like the nickname. And those are our X Factors here on Pregame Central, presented by USVI. It's time for tomorrow's headlines, which is essentially, if you're just tuning in or you're new to our show, it is essentially our game picks without saying as much. It's what we think is going to happen in the game. And maybe not win or loss, but it's a teaser as what you think is going to be the main attraction on the back page or the front page of tomorrow's newspaper. And with that being said, Quincy, you're going to kick us off.
Yeah, so, we had Fitz on the beginning of the show. It's Thursday Night Football. He's here with Amazon. So I'm going Jets borrowed some Fitz magic to break the streak. The last time the Jets won at home, Fitz was the quarterback. So why not say that they borrowed some Fitz magic? That's my headline.
I love it. So you're predicting Jets win, essentially.
I absolutely am.
Okay.
I'm going straight up winner. Dark Knight, a winner in Gotham Return. Aaron Rodgers said he will rise again. Tonight, he rises in front of Jets Nation.
I love that. And, of course, it's just fitting that the Jets open up 2024 under the lights again. I'm sure so many fans have watched the clip of Aaron Rodgers running out of the tunnel last year. I'm excited to see what's in store tonight. My headline is kind of a combination of both of yours. It's about the streaks. 2 streaks are snapped, and the Jets climb to 2-1 in the 2024 season. There's something going on outside somewhere because the crowd erupted. I don't know if that's because of my headline, EA's headline, Quincy's headline. I think that Jets fans are just excited to, 1, be here, and 2, that we all like the chances for the Jets.
I actually think Fitzy, who's on the adjacent set over there with Amazon Prime, was throwing out some of his shirts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Wings still got it?
Oh, yeah.
Look, but I mentioned a pair of streaks. Obviously, the one that comes to mind is 2015. The Jets have not beaten the Patriots in this building since then. The other streak is what I mentioned earlier when Fitzmagic was on the show. Robert Saleh on Thursday Night Football. He's been changing the practice schedule in training camp. He said one of the studies was to try to figure out how to start faster on a night like tonight when you have a short week. Let's see what happens, and I think the Jets are in a good spot to do so. Right there, we were taking a look at Garrett Wilson. That's Isaiah Oliver, who took some more snaps in the back end of the secondary for the Jets last week. But with Garrett Wilson, we've seen him at times spring free. Is this the night that you think he's really going to spring free, or you think Christian Gonzalez is going to shadow him throughout?
I think they're going to mix it up because that's what the Patriots are known to do. So I think Gonzalez, when you're a man, you better get on Garrett Wilson or else he's going to be a big-time problem.
Yeah, you look at the last couple of weeks, they've been using Christian Gonzalez as their guy on their next man's best guy. He was covering DK last week. He had some challenges, though. So will they kind of put him in those positions again? I think one of the big things about that is as soon as they go into man and he's covering the number 1 receiver, you now know it's man. It's an easier tell than any other thing you can do.
Look, we have 3 minutes before the inactives come out, which will answer the question, will it be C.J. Mosley or will it be Jamien Sherwood at Mike linebacker? What did you think about the way that Sherwood not only played last week, EA, but really, you dial it all the way back to training camp, you start to see him take some steps forward. It was nice to see him do it in game action.
I thought he played really well. That's a tough situation coming into a ball game and assuming those green dot responsibilities where you're taking the call in through the headset, making sure everybody's lined up correctly. What we've seen from Jamien Sherwood going back to the summer, like you discussed, is that he's fast, he's very comfortable in this defense, and he brings a physical skill set. So you want C.J. Mosley on the field, no doubt about it. But Jamien Sherwood, if he has to step up into the Mike linebacker role, he is ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I liked that I saw last week was that he wasn't skating around blocks. He was going and attacking the linemen that were coming to him. That was kind of one of the challenges in the first week. So I'm glad that him and Quincy stepped up and made sure that they were filling those holes.
Kirk Herbstreit right there chatting it up with Aaron Rodgers. I assume Herbstreit's dog Ben is in the building here at MetLife Stadium.
I heard Ben was going to get credentialed.
Okay, so
yes.
Ben got credentialed.
Yeah.
It makes sense because I saw something in the press box, not to give too much away, that looked like a dog treat. I think that's probably for Ben.
Speaking of Herbstreit, check out the Jets official podcast. We had him on the other day.
Yeah, Well, you want to give a little sneak preview of what's to come now?
Well, we discussed this guy a lot. That's number 8, Aaron Rodgers, and him, what he's seen early in the season, and also maybe his expectations for Rodgers and the Jets throughout 2024.
All right, it is time for the Jets inactives. Here they are, ladies and gentlemen. Max Mitchell, Carter Warren, Izzy Abanaconda, Eric Watts, Jarek Bernard Converse, and unfortunately for the Jets, C.J. Mosley is inactive, which means Jamien Sherwood will start at Mike linebacker against the New England Patriots and their number 4 rushing offense. That's all the time we have here on Pregame Central, presented by USVI. Jets Patriots around the corner, 8:15, the first game at home for the green and white in the 2024 regular season.